One would wish, after that violent first movement, that the second movement could give us peace. But that is not a movement that gives us peace. It is a movement which makes us feel all the more vulnerable. There's something absolutely devastating about this music, which is constantly being undermined by that strange coming from some far, deep place that we cannot put a finger on. And this, of course, emerges from the opening of the piece. You and I have talked about this. It seems to me that the last of the 4 bars of the tune comes from another place than the rest, because you start that's the voice of the dead. Not this. The way that sways and pulls, that D sharp twists inside in a strange sort of way. And then, if he'd done this, that would be fine. But that's not what he does, you see, because you have this chord. What was that? Then, backwards. It's really unnerving. And it doesn't stop, because then after this, it's absolutely sinister, this music, you know? And so you always have to have that color in reserve when you get here that, because then, and you have to be very careful, because what's going to happen otherwise is that the 30 seconds are going to really jump out. And the trick to solving that is finger pressure on the long note. You put your second finger on the C and continue to press, and on the thumb. And then, even without the soft pedal, you not. Because that's not unnerving. What's unnerving is the strange convulsion that's there as an undertone. Okay, back to the beginning. Oh, also, as a general rule, Anran, be careful not to over-pedal. It doesn't do any good. You know? It's much more rambunctious and more furious and crazier if it's drier. If it can't be entirely dry, if that's too much for you, it's okay. Use shallow pedal. But a lot of pedal, and the same thing happens when you come here. It's not dangerous enough. You know? It's a tank going right through I mean, Schubert didn't know about tanks. But maybe he did. Maybe in his worst nightmare, he imagined something that looked like a tank going through his village, through Mödling. Yeah? Okay. Yeah, you see, I'm going to be difficult with you because you're a good musician. You can't afford to play the E that loudly, because if you play the E that much, you have no room. You see, your vibrato, save the pedal. And you know, the most unnerving thing is that it's not that. It's this. It's too short. It's too short. It's too damn short! Touch. No connection, right? Don't tell them how you do it. This is the famous Robert Levin cognac in the sauce adage. If you can tell there's cognac in the sauce, there's too much cognac in the sauce. You know, they want to say, how did she do it? No, oh, I see what she's doing. No. You see, if they figure out what you're doing, then they can do it too. No, they have to come for lessons and pay. And then you have to say, oh, you want to know that? Oh, no, you can't afford that. No. All right. Yeah, you see, the D is suddenly popping out. Maybe it's the instrument, but you've done it 3 times now, so now you know. So you need more A. And don't be fooled. A lot of people play. You see, they don't get it, that the opposite of this is this. You know, it's the same thing in the Beethoven. They get to the end and they play. They don't realize that it's. Hello? Beethoven calling. More D. Good. Not too much. Gone. See, but you don't have to take any time there because our heart is already in overdrive. You're already scaring us half to death. So you play. And this. Lean a little bit to the left with your wrist so that the balance point on the tremolo is the E. And not, you see, not the F. I can really hear it. It's got a shape, you know. It's inhuman. It's horrifying, but it's got a mind set that we can hear. The one thing you mustn't do, dear Anran, is to make an accelerando into that fortissimo. It's much more terrifying and unnerving if it's absolutely, implacably in tempo, you see. Bah! When was the last time you heard somebody in a master class go, bah! God, it's a sheep that's up here teaching, not a human being. Okay, now, later on, the same thing before. You think he's going mad, you know? He's stuck. He's stuck, and we don't know where he's going. Your object is not to make that into music. Mm-hmm. It's to be as crazy as it is. It's stuck. You know, suddenly there's this eruption. Now, I'm going to skip a little bit. I like what you're doing in the second group of the piece. I think the repeated chord can be a little bit lighter. You know, because if you play, it becomes prosaic. And as prosaic as it is the first time, it becomes really lamentably so when you get back to it at the end and you've got the triplets. There, but just think of them as a vibrato, not. Again, it's the cognac and the sauce thing. If you can tell there are 3 chords, then you can hear the chords a little bit too much. Try that. Yeah, and by the way, try to be as calm as you can. I wouldn't play with a sudden rush, da-da-da-dum, because that, we're praying for a safe harbor here. We want to have a place where there is a halo of sound and where we think that survival might just be possible. And so if there's agitation, that undermines that. So just leave it. Yeah, you see, and just because when you do the upbeat, that allows, you see, the first one to have a little bit more resonance, and then the second and the third one and the fourth one can dissolve within it. Doesn't need any help from you. Yeah, but you got to have the first one. See, you're afraid of the first one. Then, and your shoulders are going to go up like this, and you're not going to be healthy. No, you're not getting into the key. Schubert loves that sound. He loves the sound of the doubled third that way. Sorry. It's that beautiful, wonderful, warm sound of the third in two different voices. So enjoy the thumb too, not just the fifth finger. Yeah, and I love the fact that you bring out the cello line, but you forget the last note that the cello plays, which is... Don't you think? All right, now I'm hearing... It's like that voice just suddenly disappeared behind a tree somewhere, and I'm trying to figure out, hey, where's the cello? You see, it's that you expend all of your energy here. And because it's all done there, then you don't have to worry at all about this. It's nothing. Just let it be, Don't let it get in the way. Read, if you haven't read it already, Zen and the Art of Archery by Eugen Herrigel. And find out about the day. I mean, some of you have heard me say this before. I'm sorry, but some of you haven't. When Herrigel is working with the great Zen archery master Suzuki, and the great Suzuki says to him at a certain point, I see your problem. What's my problem? You're trying to make the arrow hit the target. Herrigel is completely confounded. He said, but isn't that what I'm supposed to be learning here? He said, no, that's not your job. It's not? No. It's the arrow's job. What's my job? Your job is not to get in the way. Boy, can we learn a lot from Eastern philosophy. We're so goal-oriented here. We're so, physically strategic, and we want instant results all of the time. We have no patience. We don't see these things. So your job here is not to get in the way. Just allow. And then it's just there, and it oscillates, and it murmurs, and everyone says, oh, how did he know? How did he know that's what I needed? That's it right there. FRANZ, don't stop. Please keep vibrating. It's so touching. Yeah, but you have to arrive, please. You see, you can't resonate inside the sound if you don't make the sound at the beginning of the bar. Better. Yeah, and think a bit more of your fifth finger in your left hand, so it's a little bit more, yeah. Yes, and because after all, it's only the middle voice that matters, not, that never was important, and never was it as little important as it is right here, okay? You have to be careful because irregularities in the declamation make the audience, nervous in a way which is not contributing to the actual character of the piece. But again, it says fortissimo, but there's an accent on it. And in Schubert, his accents very much resemble decrescendo hairpins. So it's not always easy to be able to tell the difference between when he wants an accent and when he wants a hairpin. So that's something you need to think about, okay? And it doesn't matter whether it's or whether it's I mean, it's just terror, this music. I mean, was there ever anything like this? Not even Beethoven does this, It's something absolutely uncanny. And by the time it's not that you're free. It's that you realize as you listen how needy the person who's speaking to you is. You get the sense that a person like this could suck the marrow out of your bones and still be unhappy. There's no way to find salvation in this music. It's forlorn. And at the end of the piece, in the third movement, it's murderous. Storming out. It's awful. It's an awful thing. Terrible. All right. We have just enough time to have a little bit of your Andante. Yeah? Warm, gentle, and fragile. Okay, you can consider, Anran, you don't have to do it. You have two options. One is to arpeggiate, and the other is to break. And I think maybe it might be better to break, that is to divide 1 and 2, rather than, which is a little bit disturbing to the shape of your melody. But that's a judgment call. Yeah? I mean, when you... But you have, it makes things just a little bit hectic. Yeah? Just something to think about. Go ahead. Yes, don't forget to press. You see, look, you know what this is. I mean, everybody's got to know what this is. Oh my God. That again. Oh my God. Good. before and it's still good, I'm happy to say. But you're going to use pretty much full pedal here, but maybe not so much here, so that you can have some room to grow, because otherwise you get stuck at a certain dynamic level and it's difficult to shape things. I want to point out that he writes over and over again sordini here. Sordini, mutes. This does not mean the left pedal of our piano. It means the moderator on his instrument, which interposes a layer of felt between the hammer and the string and is a true mute. It creates an ungodly heavenly sound. It's often called in English the celeste stop for that reason. And when Schubert writes 3 Ps, that's usually what he wants. Those of you who only played the Steinway should go up to whatever room it is, 441, 442. There's a piano there that's got it. And just hear what it sounds like. You'll fall in love with it. Anran, we have to stop. I want to point out something to everybody here that you and I spoke about before. One of the things about Schubert's particular way of notating is that he differentiates between decrescendo and diminuendo. This is not the case with Beethoven, who uses decrescendo for the first half of his life and diminuendo for the second half, with only one exception that I know in the second variation of Opus 109 finale. But otherwise, he's very, very clear, and he switches from one to the other, and therefore I think we can say they're interchangeable. But Schubert uses both decrescendo and diminuendo within the same movement over and over and over again. There's no reason to do that if it doesn't mean something different. Here I quote the preface of many of the volumes of the new Schubert edition. As a rule, Schubert distinguishes between decrescendo, getting softer, rallentando or ritardando, getting slower, and diminuendo, getting softer and slower. Often, we find after diminuendo, a tempo. Even in the Henle edition of the Schubert sonatas, the guy writes rit because he sees a tempo coming up and doesn't realize that the diminuendo is already telling you that. There are numerous places in Schubert where everybody does this instinctively, but it's something that you should know. And ladies and gentlemen, I can only thank you for your attention. I thank the performers for their wonderful and flexible dealings with somebody who made irrational demands of them. It's been a wonderful afternoon. I'm blessed to have such company, both in the room and outside of it. Bless you all. Thank you so much. Bravo. Amen.